Numerous fatalities have been reported after a plane crash in Kingston. 2 separate hit and runs leave a man and a woman dead.
8-point game.
RJ Barrett returns home to face the Toronto Raptors.
Barrett throws it.
Humber News starts now.
Hello, I'm Paige McGowan, coming to you from our newsroom at Humber's North Campus. It's Thursday, November 28th. Here's what's making news this hour. Police in Kingston, Ontario are investigating a deadly plane crash that has killed multiple passengers. A 6-seater Piper PA-32, much like this one, took off in Markham and crashed in a wooded area roughly 7 kilometers from Kingston's airport. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada has sent a team of investigators to the area. They have confirmed there are multiple fatalities, but will not say how many people were on board the plane. Authorities say there are no threats to public safety as the investigation continues. Walking the streets of Toronto is becoming very dangerous for senior citizens. A 70-year-old woman is dead after being struck in a hit-and-run accident early this morning. The incident occurred in the north end of Toronto around 6:30. Police say the driver of the vehicle fled the scene. Investigators received several reports about motorists driving around the body and not stopping to help. Meanwhile, police are looking for suspects from another hit-and-run from last Friday. An 84-year-old male victim died yesterday in hospital. Police are looking for a suspect driving a blue Volkswagen SUV that will most likely have front-end damage. And if that's not bad enough, a 91-year-old man died on Tuesday after being hit last Friday. Police say the elderly man was crossing the street when struck by a man driving an SUV. No charges have been laid, and police continue their investigation. Pedestrian safety at Humber College is also a concern. The latest flashpoint is a new crosswalk that has some students worried. Humber reporter Madeline Jafarnejad checked out the crosswalk and has this report.
The use of small signs and tiny blinking lights at the newest crosswalk at Humber's North Campus is raising questions about safety.
The sign there that flashes the light, I honestly don't, if I'm driving through here, I don't personally see it because I think it's really small, so it's hard to see.
Many students say they don't feel comfortable using their school's new crosswalk. When asked about why the crosswalks are different from regular city crosswalks, Director of Public Safety Rob Kilfoyle says it's because Humber is private property.
Yeah, well, the difference is public and private property and ownership. So there are specific provincial and municipal regulations that govern crosswalks on city-owned streets.
Cars zoom through the campus crosswalk without stopping most of the time, while people are still crossing. Web design and interactive media student Ken Bowie was walking to class when a black SUV almost didn't stop for him.
I think we need a stop sign because really the lights, sometimes drivers, they don't know what it means, you know? So yeah, I really think if it's a stop sign, people would know when to stop, and then I think it would be overall a safer, cross section.
Over 50 pedestrian deaths have been reported in Toronto so far this year. Both drivers and pedestrians at Humber say the crosswalk would be safer with a real stop sign and a crossing guard.
As a walker, I'd feel a little unsafe because it's like, do the drivers see that I'm going to cross or not? It could definitely be improved. It's a little better if there were security guards maybe walking us back and forth.
Traffic on the campus roads has increased since the college implemented a new 8-level parking garage. Students say improvements need to be made in order to make them feel safer and reduce the risk of collisions.
Humber students have said that they don't feel as safe as they should when crossing the roads on campus. It is clear to see that they feel improvements should be made. I'm Madeline Jafarnejad for Humber News.
There's been an escalation of violence in Iraq, where protests have been raging for 2 months over government corruption and high unemployment. Anti-government demonstrators burned down the Iranian consulate in the city of Najaf to show their anger about growing Iranian influence in Iraqi affairs. Police fired live ammunition to stop protesters from entering the building, killing 1 person and injuring 35. The demonstrators managed to remove the Iranian flag from the consulate and replace it with an Iraqi flag. Between the fire and other protests in Iraq, this has been one of the bloodiest days since the uprising began. In Nasiriyah, at least 24 people died when government troops opened fire on demonstrators blocking a bridge. Protesters marched through the streets carrying coffins and chanting, "There's no God but Allah." So far, at least 350 people have been killed and thousands wounded in what turns into the largest grassroots protest movement in the history of modern Iraq. Polytechnic University has ended, but demonstrators have gotten a boost of support from U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump signed 2 laws that will support protesters in Hong Kong. One bill has banned the export of crowd control munitions, such as tear gas and pepper spray, to Hong Kong police. The other places economic sanctions on Hong Kong that will impact what China can receive from America after Chinese officials were found guilty of human rights abuses by the U.S. Senate. Pro-democracy activist Joshua Wong has called this a sign for other world leaders to stand with Hong Kong.
On June, it just encouraged world leaders around the world and politicians aware that it's time for them to stand with Hong Kong.
China's foreign ministry released a statement that accused Trump of bullying behavior, disregarding the facts, and publicly supporting criminals. The statement also says, "We urge the United States not to insist on going down this path, or China would firmly strike back, and the United States would have to bear all the consequences." The Hong Kong government responded as well, saying the bill will send the wrong signal to demonstrators. Protesters held a celebratory pro-U.S. rally at Edinburgh Place in Hong Kong's Central District, with many holding U.S. flags and thanking Trump for supporting Hong Kong. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un celebrates American Thanksgiving with a bang. Kim Jong-un launched 2 short-range missiles early this morning. The South Korean military says the missiles had a maximum flight of 380 kilometers at an altitude of about 100 kilometers. The missiles came from a powerful rocket launcher almost 2 years after North Korea test-fired its Hwasong-15 missile. Analysts believe that missile is capable of targeting the United States with a nuclear warhead. This is North Korea's 13th missile test since May and happened to land on U.S. Thanksgiving. It isn't the first time North Korea has launched missile tests on important American holidays. Its first successful intercontinental ballistic missile launch came on the 4th of July in 2017, which is U.S. Independence Day. Tens of thousands of people have evacuated their homes following a series of explosions at a Texas chemical plant. Fires continue to burn this morning after 2 massive explosions tore through a chemical plant in Port Neches on Wednesday. The first explosion at the TPC Group plant occurred around 1 a.m., leaving at least 3 employees injured. More explosions followed throughout the day, including one that sent a steel reactor tower rocketing high into the air. The blast shattered windows, destroyed roofs, and left residents fearing for their safety. This prompted a mandatory evacuation of Port Neches and neighboring groves, Nederland, and part of Port Arthur. State environmental officials were monitoring air quality, but no elevated chemical levels had been detected. The blast has caused extensive damage throughout the city, and although the fire is contained, it is not yet under control. The newest social media sensation TikTok has issued an apology to a U.S. teenager after removing her videos and banning her account. 17-year-old Feroza Aziz shared a 3-part video on the Chinese-owned social media app to spread awareness about the treatment of Uyghur Muslims in China. She started the video pretending to curl her eyelashes, and then about 10 seconds in, switched topics to China's current situation.
Hi guys, so I'm going to teach you guys how to get long lashes. So the first thing you need to do is grab your lash curler, curl your lashes obviously, then you're going to put them down and use your phone that you're using right now to search up what's happening in China, how they're getting concentration camps, throwing innocent Muslims in there, separating their families from each other, kidnapping them, murdering them, raping them, forcing them to eat pork, forcing them to drink, forcing them to convert different religions, if not, or else they're gonna, of course, get murdered.
Aziz continued to share more information throughout the video and compared the situation to the Holocaust. While she released her 3-part video last weekend, TikTok had it removed and banned her account days later. The company claims the video was removed due to a human moderation error. Among all the controversy, Aziz has remained very vocal on Twitter, questioning why she was banned from TikTok in the first place. The unthinkable happened last night for fans young and old of the wildly popular Frozen 2 movie. 5 teens were arrested outside a Frozen screening in the UK after a brawl with machetes and knives. What was supposed to be a kid-friendly event quickly became a horror for everyone. The screening had guests as young as 4 years old. Police responded to the scene immediately. Officers sustained minor facial injuries. Police say they resorted to tasers and police dogs to take control of the situation. While seizing all weapons, when the brawl ended, police arrested 5 teens between the ages of 13 and 19. 4 were held with suspicion of assaulting police, and a 14-year-old boy was arrested for obstructing police. As fall is coming to an end, our neighbors south of the border are celebrating their love of turkey, stuffing, and cranberry sauce. The U.S. celebrates Thanksgiving on the fourth Thursday of every November, aimed at giving thanks for the autumn harvest. It includes tons of food and the joy of extended family. New York City got into the spirit of Thanksgiving in typical New York fashion. With one of the world's largest parades, the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade began in 1924 and is still one of the favorite events of the year. Thanksgiving is one of the world's oldest celebrations and can be traced back in history to 1621, with the original lasting for 3 days. The parade runs from West 77th Street to Macy's Herald Square. We are going to take a quick break. Still ahead, the latest in sports. But first, Sean Marco has a preview of your 3-day weather forecast.
As we prepare for winter, our friends south of the border prepare for Thanksgiving. Today is mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of flurries later. Don't get blown away with the high winds reaching up to 60 kilometers an hour. Make sure to dress warm as the wind chill reaches -9. I'll be back with your 3-day forecast after the break.